All right, folks, strap in because we've got one heck of a story today that's shaking things up in both the political and entertainment worlds. You've likely heard of John Fetterman, the Democratic senator from Pennsylvania, a guy known for his bold stances on issues like justice, equality, and fair treatment. But what you might not have expected is that Fetterman is now embroiled in a lawsuit that's bringing political drama right into the realm of daytime TV. Yes, you heard that right. Fetterman is suing The View host Sunny Hostin, along with the show's producers. This isn't just another tabloid rumor or a random celebrity feud. This is a full-blown legal battle that's quickly becoming the talk of the town. So, what exactly went down here, and why is it making waves? Well, buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the drama and figure out why this matters, not just to those directly involved, but to all of us.
That about the J6 people too, though, right? That's what they're going to say on the other side. That is weaponized.
I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about the New York trial, and now the Democrats on our side there were some that were gleeful, calling it like now he's a convicted felon and those things, and now for our party we were talking about criminal justice, and we're now talking about second chances, and now all of a sudden now you're like, well, he's a convicted felon and all these things. And now clearly, again, both of those trials, the Hunter Biden one and the trial in New York for Trump, that was politically motivated, and those kinds of charges would have never been brought unless one side could realize that they could weaponize that.
Let's start with Fetterman. He's no stranger to the spotlight. Over the years, the Pennsylvania senator has carved out a reputation as someone who isn't afraid to speak his mind and challenge the status quo. Whether it's standing up for the rights of the underrepresented or calling out injustices, Fetterman has made it clear that he's all about fighting for what's right, and that includes calling out the media when he feels things go too far. So, when he appeared on The View for a taping, most people expected a typical segment, lively discussions about politics, current events, and maybe some light banter. The View, as we all know, isn't exactly shy when it comes to opinionated exchanges, and the hosts are known for being candid, especially Sunny Hostin. But what wasn't expected was a sudden shift in tone that left Fetterman walking away with something a little more serious than just a few heated words. During a live broadcast, Sunny Hostin reportedly made some comments that Fetterman just couldn't let slide. Now, we don't know the exact details of what was said, as the legal process is still unfolding. But it was enough to spark a major legal response. Fetterman claims the comments were defamatory, meaning they damaged his reputation and potentially caused him harm in ways that go far beyond just a few hurt feelings.
If you get they had a placebo group and they had a vaccine group because they wanted for military readiness to see if the flu shot was prophylactic against coronavirus. What they found is actually the people who got the flu shot were 36% more likely to get coronavirus. And that's not a lone study. We found 6 other major studies that say the same thing. If you get the flu shot, you're more likely to get coronavirus. Look, all you have to do, Alan, and this is what Cochrane said, is look what's happened to longevity in the elderly since we started mandating the flu shot to elderly people. Those are the people who their life expectancy has dramatically gone down as the flu shot proliferated. And if you see, the people who died during the COVID crisis.
This is a big deal because in today's world, the media has enormous influence over public perception. So, when a senator like Fetterman feels misrepresented or unfairly criticized, it's more than just personal. It creates a ripple effect that touches the broader conversation about media ethics and responsibility. And that's exactly why he's taking legal action. But wait, why should we care? I mean, sure, it's an interesting legal squabble, but why does it matter to you and me, the everyday folks who aren't directly involved in the drama? Here's why. This situation taps into much bigger issues we all face in the age of social media, constant news cycles, and non-stop online commentary. It's a prime example of how the line between free speech and defamation is often blurry, and how media outlets like The View, with their massive reach and influence, have a responsibility to be mindful of what they say and how they say it. Fetterman's legal move is about more than just himself. It's about setting a precedent. It's about holding media outlets accountable for the power they wield. As someone who has been outspoken throughout his political career, Fetterman is now using this lawsuit to make a broader point about the ethics of journalism and public discourse. He's saying that just because someone has a platform doesn't mean they have the right to say anything they want without consequences. Think about it. The View has millions of viewers who tune in every day, hanging on every word from the hosts. So, when one of those words lands as a personal attack or misrepresentation, it's not something that can be brushed off. Fetterman believes the producers of The View should have been more careful, more responsible, and that the unchecked airing of those comments was a failure on their part. For him, it's not just about defending his name. It's about ensuring that media outlets understand the weight of their words.
It's his son, after all, and people do have sympathy for that. But a lot of people are angry with him about it. What do you say?
Oh, well, I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated and weaponized that on the other side.
Now, let's talk about Sunny Hostin. She's no stranger to controversy and is known for being direct with her opinions, which is part of what makes her such a recognizable figure on The View. But in this case, her candor may have gone too far. Was her remark simply a frank opinion, or did it cross the line into defamation? That's a question the court will have to answer. But the bigger issue here is whether public figures, especially those with large audiences, should be allowed to speak without any consequences for their words. In many ways, Fetterman's lawsuit isn't just about one comment or one show. It's about the broader issue of media accountability in an age where misinformation can spread like wildfire. Fetterman is raising important questions about how the media shapes public opinion and what happens when those opinions are based on false or damaging information. In today's world, where anything can go viral in seconds, the stakes are higher than ever when it comes to responsible journalism.
In a new Netflix documentary series about New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he said he's heartbroken about friends and family cutting him off for his controversial political views and conspiracy theories. And a lot of Americans can relate to this, especially after this last election. So, do you think it happens everywhere?
What I recall about him is when he was asked about the COVID-19 pandemic, during the height of the pandemic, when people had lost loved ones, when people's family members were missing from their Thanksgiving table, like my table, he said, "I'm immunized." And as it turns out, he was not. He had done his own research. He has his Google MD like I do. And I think he said he was allergic to something in the vaccine, but he had COVID and he was in a huddle with his teammates. And I think people felt like, wow, you don't care. You're not your brother's keeper.
This could really, this could really turn me against
a morality.
Now let's zoom out for a moment and think about the larger implications of this lawsuit. This situation highlights a constant balancing act between free speech and defamation. On one hand, we want people to be able to express their opinions freely. That's a cornerstone of democracy. But on the other hand, we also need to protect individuals from harm caused by false or malicious statements. It's a delicate balance, and Fetterman's case brings this issue to the forefront. As we move forward, this case could set a legal precedent for future battles involving public figures, the media, and the increasingly blurry line between free speech and slander. In the age of instant information sharing, it's crucial that we all take a step back and consider the real impact words can have, especially when those words are broadcast to millions.
So, what do you think?
Did The View cross the line with this one? Or is Fetterman overreacting? Should he be taking a stand? Or is this all just an attempt to regain control of his public image? It's a fascinating question that touches on so many important issues, from defamation laws to media ethics and the evolving role of politics in public discourse.
In a million years, I would not take the flu shot. And I'll tell you why, because this is what Cochrane and BMJ have found. People who take the flu shot are protected against that strain of flu. They're 4.4 times more likely to get a non-flu infection. And you might find, and a lot of people do, that they get the flu shot and then they get sick. They're usually not getting the flu. They're getting something that is indistinguishable from the flu, because the flu shot gives you something called pathogenic priming. It injures your immune system so that you're more likely to get a non-flu viral upper respiratory infection. In fact, the Pentagon published a story, and you can cite this, it's by Wolfe, W-O-L-F-E, in January of this year, in which they said that the flu shot not only primes you for flu, but it primes you for corona.
Whatever your take on the situation, one thing's for sure. This lawsuit is more than just a personal battle between Fetterman and The View. It's part of a larger conversation about the responsibility of media outlets and the power they have to shape public opinion. And it's a conversation we'll likely be hearing a lot more about as this case unfolds. Legal experts are already weighing in, predicting how this case could impact the way the media covers public figures moving forward. And the rest of us? We'll be glued to the updates, waiting to see whether Fetterman's charges hold up in court, or if this turns out to be just another fleeting dispute that fades into the background. But one thing remains clear. We're witnessing the intersection of politics, media, and law unfold in real time. And the outcome could have lasting implications for how we all navigate public discourse in the digital age. So, let's hear it. Where do you stand on this? Do you think Fetterman is justified in taking legal action? Or is this much ado about nothing? Whether you're into the political drama, the media ethics angle, or just love a good legal showdown, this is a story that's bound to keep us talking for a while. We'll be keeping a close eye on it, so make sure to stay tuned for the latest updates as this dramatic ride continues. It was just another heated morning on The View, but what began as a routine political discussion spiraled into a national controversy that's threatening Sunny Hostin's entire career. During a panel debate, Sunny Hostin made scathing remarks about Senator John Fetterman, boldly questioning his mental fitness and labeling his political behavior as reckless. The moment was intense, but few could have predicted the explosive backlash that would follow. Within 48 hours, Fetterman's legal team filed a defamation lawsuit against Sunny Hostin, claiming that her on-air comments weren't merely opinion, they were malicious, damaging, and completely unfounded. The lawsuit made national headlines, sending shockwaves through the entertainment industry and Washington alike. Inside the studios of ABC, panic erupted. Executives scrambled to control the narrative as producers whispered that Sunny had been quietly removed from the upcoming episodes. Legal teams combed through past footage, searching for any additional comments that might put the network at further legal risk. ABC's official stance was diplomatic, stating they were cooperating fully, but behind closed doors, the tension was unbearable. Ratings began to dip, advertisers pulled out, and fans online quickly chose sides, flooding social media with hashtags like #CancelSunny, #BoycottTheView, and even #StandWithSunny. To understand the weight of this moment, one must understand Sunny Hostin's rise to fame. A former federal prosecutor and sharp political analyst, Sunny built her reputation on unapologetic candor and fearlessness. From clashing with conservative co-hosts to calling out systemic racism, she often occupied the center of firestorms. But critics have long argued that Sunny's commentary occasionally crosses into arrogance, especially when she targets political figures. Past remarks about Senator Tim Scott and suburban white women drew criticism, but the lawsuit from Fetterman marks a turning point. This wasn't just backlash, it was legal action. Fetterman, the unconventional senator known for his hoodies and deadpan wit, is no stranger to media criticism. But this time, he decided to fight back, not with tweets, but with a courtroom. His team alleges that Sunny's words harmed not only his image, but also his ability to perform his duties as an elected official. Legal analysts are now weighing in on whether this is an overreach or a legitimate stand against public defamation. If the case proceeds to trial, It could establish a groundbreaking precedent on how far televised commentary can go before it becomes legally actionable. Meanwhile, ABC is in damage control. Internally, discussions have reportedly begun about whether Sunny Hostin can remain on the show. Sources close to the production reveal that ABC is even auditioning potential replacements behind the scenes. The network is terrified, not just about the lawsuit itself, but about what it could mean for daytime television in general. If Sunny loses the case, media organizations may face stricter standards and pressure to muzzle outspoken hosts. Public reaction remains deeply divided. Supporters of Sunny argue this is a clear-cut case of cancel culture gone too far, punishing a woman of color for speaking uncomfortable truths. Others believe Sunny has enjoyed unchecked power on air for far too long, and that it's time someone held her accountable. Social media has erupted into a battlefield of opinions, with YouTubers, TikTok creators, and podcasters all weighing in, turning this legal drama into a cultural phenomenon. As court proceedings inch closer, both legal teams are preparing for war. Fetterman's side intends to